I turned 4, I asked my parents for a bike, and I got a little sister. Then, when I was 5.5, I asked for a puppy, but I got 2 twin brothers. And this year, I'm going to ask for another little sister, and maybe I'll get that bike.
First National Bank, believing in the community, preparing for the future.
Hello and welcome to Press Pass for the week of December the 19th. I'm George Anderson, and joining me today is Tina Petix, Humane Officer with the Kent Humane Department. How's it going, Tina?
Good.
Just want to know if you could tell us a little bit about what's going on at the dog pound.
We have been bringing in a lot of donations as far as food and money for medical bills. We're currently shut down unless it's an extreme emergency. We've been having some plumbing problems. We are supposed to be having a septic tank put in, just waiting on the paperwork.
Now this septic tank issue's been going on for how long?
Since June.
And you guys have got the pump put in and then it messed up, is that what happened?
Yes. Okay. It's out again, and hopefully once the septic tank comes in, that will be our last issue.
Okay. Is there any other issues going on out there?
Nope, everything's good.
Now, as far as, I guess, out in the community, the reputation of the dog pound has kind of changed over the past few years. Used to, people would look at it and they would think everything that gets picked up gets put down.
Yes.
How has that changed?
Yes. It used to be like the pound, and people said it like the black hole, like everything was going to die.
Right.
But now we only have to euthanize if they're too sick, and the veterinarians will make the call on that, or if they are too aggressive to adopt out. Everything else, we're fortunate, usually finds a home.
But I know Kent has the dangerous dog with the pit bulls. How's that affected through the?
We can adopt out inside the city limits of Kent, and there is a few other towns in this area that have the same law.
Right.
I usually try to stay up on which ones have them and which ones don't. Also, I will ask for a vet reference. That way we make sure they're not going to be fought, or it's not someone that's not familiar with the breed. And a lot of them we do try to get into rescues.
Okay. And speaking of rescues, we were talking earlier, you said that you've adopted animals out Kennett, Missouri, Arkansas, all across the nation.
Yes.
Can you tell me a little more about that?
We've had some. We've had one little rat terrier that a lady saw it on our website, and we had it flew out to Los Angeles. And we have a basset hound that went to Maine. Okay. We just had a rescue from over in Tennessee come and pick up an animal that one of the dogs that you had on the paper and it went to Tiptonville, Tennessee, and then was transported to Arnold, Missouri, where it was picked up and then took to a rescue in Wisconsin. Okay.
Now, was it just the Facebook website? Is how everybody's finding out about you?
They are. Okay. We have roughly about 3,000 people on our page.
Really?
So that's 3,000 chances of somebody that will want one of our animals. Right. And it's been working.
Well, good. I know you've done a lot of fundraisers, adoptions, and all that throughout town. What's some of the recent events that have been going on?
Sudsy Puppy hosted the Pictures with Santa, which went over great. We've had Dr. Mobley's office right now is doing a fundraiser.
What are they doing?
You can drop off donations of any kind, and they're just seeing how much they can accumulate for the animals at the shelter. Okay. We've had, as far as like the adoptions, we started out with Doggy Doos and Sudsy Puppy letting us come to their business, and then Walmart. Now we have businesses calling asking us to come instead of us having to beg. Right. I know
Southern Bank has done one. Goodies did one right after they reopened.
Sears has contacted us. We've done it at the Goodies. We've had, Town and Country has offered to let us come, and just a lot of places here in Kennett.
So would you say that the support for the Humane Department has increased in the past couple of years as opposed to the way people used to look at it?
Yes. We are blessed with anything and everything we need, whether it's, dog food, cat litter, or if we have like an animal that needs surgery, we post it on Facebook, and usually I would say within the first 30 minutes someone will pick up the vet bill, which usually is a discounted vet bill. Right. That they will pick it up, and whatever the animal needs, we get it taken care of.
Now, we have had several cases of animal abuse, neglect, cruelty in the area. One living example of that is ACE.
Yes.
It stands for what now?
animal cruelty example.
And he is your mascot for the Kingdom Pain Department.
He is.
Can you tell me a little bit about how that came about?
We had a man call in that his next door neighbor had a dog tied up in the back that was starving to death. So I went out to check it out. Went back there, saw Ace laying in a hole, and was extremely skinny. Made contact with the owner, and the owner offered to surrender to having euthanized.
Okay. And so how did he go from being euthanized to back to full health? He's a hoss now.
Yes, he is. Well, I took him into Dr. Embry to see if we could save him because he was so weak. I didn't.
Right.
And I don't know. He just touched both of us at the time, and he's like, "We'll do whatever we can." And at the time, I Facebooked it. It's right when we had got onto Facebook, and it just got it rolling. I mean, you guys did the story, and it caught on with everybody around, and people actually drive here from Jonesboro, wherever, just to meet Ace.
Really?
So.
And he's also been invited to several fundraisers in the surrounding areas, correct?
Yes, he has been invited to the fantasy pageant, which is held in Bernie, and part of their entry fee into the beauty pageant is a donation of some type of food or something for animals, and then they also do a crown for who raises the most money for the humane department.
Okay, for our humane department?
For our humane department.
And
Ace is invited, and he shows up with his tie and his bow tie on.
He's got a bow tie?
He's got a bow tie.
Nice.
Yes.
What other events has he been invited to?
At that pageant, we met a little boy that has a genetic disease that did a walkathon, and Ace was invited by the little boy to come out and walk with him back in May. And so Ace went out, and we actually raised money for that event to give something back in return for all that's been done for him. We've been all around. We've had kids that do their birthday parties, and instead of asking for gifts, they'll ask for donations for the humane department. And we've had a lot of people donate. A lot. We're blessed.
Anything and everything, food, beds?
Beds, food, blankets, toys, leashes, collars. We've had like one of the cat trees for our cat room, because we do have cats. They don't get as much attention usually as the dogs.
Right.
We have cats usually as a whole. We get a lot of support.
They've got their own room up there at the pound.
They do.
I've been in there.
Yeah, and they're not caged. I mean, unless it's something that needs to be, as far as like a mother and kittens. And they do have stuff they can climb on and play in. And we've got two right now up there that's declawed, and one's spayed and others neutered, ready for adoption.
Now, is everything at the pound, is it for adoption, or do you have to wait a certain time? How does all that work?
We have to hold them, by law, we have to hold them 5 days.
5 days?
To see if we can return them to the owner, and then they're ready for adoption. And usually once we Facebook them, when you guys post them on the newspaper for us, they're usually gone by the time the ads get out and get going good.
Okay. Can you tell the people that's watching what the process is to adopt an animal from the Kingdom Pain Department?
We have an agreement that was approved through the Department of Agriculture that gives you 30 days to have your animal totally vetted, which includes having all the current shots and have it spayed or neutered. And we have no fee.
No fee. So free dogs if anybody out there needs a dog or a cat.
Or a cat.
Come see Tina, and she can point you in the right direction. And you had things of all different species, or not species, kinds.
Yes.
From anything from Chihuahuas to
Great Danes.
Great Danes.
English Bulldogs.
Plenty of Labs.
Plenty of Labs. Shih Tzus is probably, Shih Tzus and Boxers as far as pure breeds is probably the two number two pure breed dogs that we get.
Do you get several of those kinds?
We do. We get a lot of them.
And you would think people with a pure breed would keep a little better handle on it.
As a whole, most of our animals that come through out there are, someone has bought at one time or another.
Really?
They are. We don't get, I would say it's probably 3 to 1.
Really?
With the mutts, being the...
Right. Well, that's what me and my wife, that's what we're fans of. We take the mixed breeds.
Yeah. We do get a lot. And, and we've had other things. We've had rabbits and ferrets and...
Alligators at one point?
We did have alligators. We had alligators, iguanas, pythons.
Tell me a little bit more about that alligator story. I remember you called me and said that there was a little incident going on. And
yes, we had a fire late at night where a guy had housed several alligators.
In his van, correct?
Yeah, it was like a box car kind of thing. And he had a 6 foot, a 5 foot, a 3 foot, and maybe like 10 1 foot alligators.
Little babies.
Yeah.
And what happened to those animals?
I contacted the Herp Society out of St. Louis, which we kind of had ran into each other somewhere, and I kept their number, and luckily I did. They came right down and took them.
Now, this gentleman, at one point, wasn't he trying to sell alligators in
He did
Kennett?
sell them around Kennett, and we have had a few problems with people because it is illegal to have them.
Right.
We do have an ordinance against it, even though state law doesn't really, it's not illegal to have them per se in Missouri.
Right.
But the city limits of Kennett, it is illegal to have them.
Do you know how many he wound up selling?
We're guessing probably about 25 maybe.
Really?
Yeah.
And they're just out there now, or?
Yes.
So people in Kennett have alligators at this time?
Well, not that I'm aware of right at this second. I'm sure there are some.
Right.
That, yes, we have ran into them like in the last couple of months.
Really?
In neighborhoods that you would not think they would be in.
So what's the process on that? If you come across an alligator in Kennett, Missouri?
Well, we give them time to either try to relocate them themselves, or we can provide them with the Herp Society, and they're real good about coming and taking them, because contrary to what people think, zoos do not want their alligators.
Right.
There's just, too many of them, and that's not something that you're going to just get one and when it grows up, I will give it to a zoo, and they're not going to do that.
So what was your first thought when you came upon this fire and there's a 6 foot alligator laying there, and you're like, I gotta manage this guy? What did you think?
I was shocked. I wasn't sure how I was going to handle it. I contacted our former mayor, Mayor Wheeler, and asked him if I had to get them because I'm animal control, not reptile control. And he said, please just do something. So we did. We were able to get them, tape their mouth up, and and they were pretty dormant from being cold.
Right.
Because it was so cold out. And then once the Herp Society come, they knew all about it. So we just kind of stood back and let them.
This was last January, correct?
Yes.
Now, the way I've met the gentleman, I've talked to him, and he always acted like his alligators were peaceful, wouldn't hurt a fly. Is that the?
That is not the case. I mean, they're wildlife.
Right.
So, I mean, he may have been experienced in handling them, but they're not something that you should just assume is always going to be your friend, because, once they get to be even 3 foot, 3 foot one was, like, I couldn't have controlled it.
Really?
No, because they can whip you, like, with their tail, and it's not just the bite on them. The tail really is probably just as dangerous.
Right.
And I learned a lot from the Herp Society.
Is there, have you had any other reptile issues in Kennett? Snakes, or, like, I guess when I talk snakes, I'm talking like pythons, boa constrictors?
The same gentleman had a python 13 foot, and then he had several of the ball python, smaller, and he had iguanas, and he had a whole.
Full truck full, huh?
He did. Pet
Traveling
raccoons,
zoo, right?
He did. He had a lot of things that should be somewhere confined better than in a trailer.
Okay. Back to the topic of the septic tank that you guys are supposed to be getting in.
Yes.
What's the time frame on that?
Actually, they have a contractor ready to install it. We're just waiting on the paperwork from Jefferson City. So, I mean, the council and the mayor, have approved it. It's ready to go. It's just the red tape with the state.
Okay.
So, we're not quite sure.
And once, so for now you guys are shut down. You can't pick anything up?
Unless it's an extreme emergency, because we have very limited sewer right now.
So what do you do if you do have to pick something up? Can you take it to that pound? Or
I can take it to that pound, and I've also got a few foster homes that will foster them out and take care of them. We have, the sewer is going enough that we can handle a few, but not what we usually, because we usually will house anywhere from no less than 20 up to 30, including, puppies and stuff. So we're not pushing our luck.
Right. Are you always looking for foster families for animals?
We are.
And if somebody wants to become a foster, how would they go about doing that?
And they just call the police department and come out and talk to me and make sure, that they're able to house them and that they're going to be in a safe environment, and they have to understand they have to give them back when we find a home for them.
Any type of requirements as far as living quarters or anything?
Well, if they're going to be outside, an animal outside, of course they'd have to have adequate shelter and stuff. So.
All right. I guess that's really all I can think of for today. Is there anything else that you can think of that you want to talk about?
No, just want to thank everybody for the support, and I appreciate everything everybody does.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you stopping by today, and if people want to get a hold of you, can you give them the Facebook address and the phone number? And
It's Kenny Humane Department on Facebook, and
it's DEPT period, correct?
Yes. And the phone number is 888-4622.
And they just call and ask for you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And as always, you can reach us at 203 First Street. Give us a phone call at 573-888-4505, or you can send me an email at ganderson@dddnews.com. We appreciate you stopping by and checking us out today. And Tina, thank you again.
Thank you.
And we just wanted to take a moment here and wish everyone out there who's watching this week a Merry Christmas, a Happy Hanukkah, and a Happy Holidays. Thanks.